All right, y'all. H Wolf 3 here for Bass in Your Face. Coming at you in the new year 2021 and already off to a wild start. And something told me, man, let me go ahead and do this. Let me do the history of the spectrum. Now, the picture you just saw is of a cartoon strip. So, what is the spectrum? Is it a cartoon? Is it a real life group? Is it both? Is it one or the other? We're about to find out. All right, so let me take you back to the beginning, the very beginning. When Bass in Your Face was a wee lad, there I was. That's me and my family. That's my Bass in Your Face on the H Wolf 3 is on the far right. That's my sister, God bless her. She's still with us. This is a long time ago. This is back in probably the latter part of the 1970s. And next to her is her husband, my brother-in-law, ex-brother-in-law. He's deceased now. And my dear mother and father, bless them. God bless them, they're both deceased. But my brother-in-law, I'm glad I put this picture up because he was the one that took me to get my first bass. It was a bass called a Magnum, a cheap, very cheap jazz copy. I remember I got it at a pawn shop in downtown Detroit. I also got an amp. It was a amp called a Vox amp. If my memory serves me correctly. Forgive me if I'm misspeaking because I don't want to smear Vox's name too badly. but it was a bad amp, bad. So that's how I started, and I just started playing what I heard, whom I admired, and those were people like this gentleman, Robert Cool Bell. Of course, I did a tribute to him a couple of episodes ago. Another person I was really strongly into at that time was, of course, Jaco Pastorius. I mentioned him in an episode recently about the SX 5-string jazz. So yeah, Jaco Pastorius, huge influence on me. And then, of course, can't forget Mr. Clark, Stan the Man Clark, Stanley Clark. I had all his records. I had all Return to Forever records. A group he had with Chick Corea, Lenny White, Al Di Meola, was it Bill Connors? Yeah, Bill Connors, and so many other greats. Jerry Brown, Eric. I don't get off on a tangent, but I was into them big time. So I'm listening to all these different basses, trying to formulate a style. And then I was into a lot of R&B basses, funk basses, and one of them, I'm going to give a shout out to the ladies, was this lady, wonderful lady, Janice Marie Johnson, The Taste of Honey. I had their records. So if it was bass centered and I liked it, whether it was Ronald Lepre or the Commodores or I think it's Nathaniel Phillips Pleasure, or Glide Fame. It didn't matter. I was on it, trying to learn, So in the meantime, I tried to start a band, and it was somewhat of a flop. The band was called The Spectrum. And the gentleman I tried to do the band with, the drummer, I'm not going to mention his name, it just didn't pan out. He acted like he wanted to do this thing. The Spectrum, the concept I had was of a Christian band, a Christian rock band. There wasn't many role models back then for that type of thing. Maybe Andre Crouch and the Disciples, handful of others. Clark Sisters here locally in Detroit, they kind of did cutting edge type of stuff, but there really wasn't any role models until this group came out. Passage. Now, anybody who follows the channels know I'm a huge Louis Johnson fan. He was my other big influence. I saved him for this. But I had all the Brother Johnson records. But when he came out with this group, this validated in my mind the concept I was trying to do, because this was a Christian, somewhat of a Christian rock group. Funk rock, very slick arrangements. It was a great recording, had hit records, and is a classic to this day. And I had the pleasure of meeting Richard Heath and becoming friends with him on social media. So anyway, that validated the concept, but I had nobody really to do the concept with. So I turned to my artwork, because I'm an artist, and I began to try to create this group, at least the ideal of it, through my art. And one of the things I was pretty good at was cartooning. So what ended up happening, and it didn't happen overnight, it took a long time. I finally created that group, The Spectrum, in a comic book type of form, or a cartoon strip type form. And it amazingly, it got published. Put up a picture, and they spelled my name wrong, but this was in a paper called the Michigan Sentinel, and it also appeared in another paper called the Michigan Citizen. And Spectrum was about a teenage music group, and they were kind of like at war with other groups that they felt, their whole thing was, or the leaders' whole thing was, I want to do music that's really good, really diverse, but I want it to be positive. So they were trying to strike down all the, negative type of groups that was doing these negative things. And the only one who really believed in the concept was the leader. And the rest of the band just was not feeling them. So it was kind of that's where the humor part came in. Let me put up another picture. And this is the lineup of this band, The Spectrum. What a coincidence. The leader's name is Henry as well. Henry Jones, Benny Steele, Bill Anderson, Brian Rivers, Tasha Natasha, Byron Stone. And got lead guitar, keyboards, vocals, drums, bass, and then multi-instrumentalists. So I said, if I can't have a group in real life, I'll have it in the comic strip. Now, I kept plugging away at this comic strip, and it had some mild success, but it wasn't really too sustainable. Meanwhile, I kept practicing and practicing. And I finally got a hold of a decent bass, an amplifier. Let's put up the amp first. I got this amp. This is a custom 150 watt amp. By the way, that's not me. Now that I do know that gentleman. He's the one that sold me the amp. His name is Michael, and he was a friend of the family. And this was him way back when he was in a band. And that looks like a Hofner bass he's holding. But anyway, that's the amp he sold me, and that was a tremendous amp. It said it was 150 watts, but look at the size of it. That thing could just really crank. So around that time, we're talking, let's say around 84, 85, 1984, 85, I got a hold of a good bass. It was an Aria Pro 2. It was a Japanese-made bass. And around that time period, I got involved in some film projects. And I'm going to just show them, and something interesting is going to occur. So I'm going to show this. This is a film called One More Chance. And my bass is featured in this scene. And it's this young man jamming in the studio. So let's put this on right quick. And here's the Aria Pro 2. I think those are my glasses he has on. Glasses and my strap. Guitar strap. So that's the Aria Pro 2. That young lady's in the film. Then that came out so well, the producer director liked that so well that he also was doing a music video in the same year, and he asked me to appear in the music video with the bass. So what ended up happening, the music video was promoting Detroit, and it was to Irene Cara's What a Feeling. Now, What a Feeling came out, of course, in 1983, one of the biggest songs, it was the biggest song, I believe, of that year. And I was helping on these movies, like behind the scenes, me and my company. We were doing a lot of stuff, but I digress. You asked me to be in the music video with the bass, so here is the clip of that. And that's that. So I made that appearance in that music video. I was doing a "Oh What a Feeling" leap. I think that's where Toyota got that from. And I should get residuals for that. But if you notice, I look like the character in the comic strip. So once again, we get the lines of art. What came first? Chicken or the egg? Is life imitating art or art imitating life? I don't know, but it even gets weirder. So after that, I got accepted into this school called the Center for Creative Studies, College of Art and Design, to continue my art studies. It wasn't a music school, it was all about art. And I studied art direction. So, to try to make a long story short, it was a very, very tough school. I was very fortunate and blessed to get into it. I had to spend about 3 or 4 years building up a portfolio good enough to get into the school. But once I got in, I was going to make the best of it. And what happened, I was taking a class, and I met a guy named Ryan, who was a guitar player. And we said, there seems to be a lot of people here with musical interests. There must be some type of connection. So we went to the administration and said, we'd like to start a jam. And I got a letter here. I'm not going to put it up here long. This is a letter granting us permission to use a building called the Yamasaki building, the basement, to hold these like jam sessions. And this is a way for the students to come and blow off steam that had musical talent. Because there was no other social stuff at the school, because you spent 95% of your time working. studying, working, no break. So they felt this was good, and they gave us permission to do it. Now, the date on this letter is 1991. We really started this thing in 87. I first got there. So, to make a long story short, I got together with a gentleman named Tyrone Davis. He was a drummer. We got together and we did, it could have easily been about 80 different arrangements. Because what we found when we got together with the musicians is that different musicians, everybody wanted to do something different. Somebody wanted to play country, another guy wanted to play psychedelic rock, another guy wanted to play jazz. There was no cohesion. Some people wanted to do covers. Some people wanted to just freestyle, and it was a big mess. So Tyrone, we became friends. He was actually a model at the school. He wasn't a student, but he did have a lot of artistic talent. And he could play the drums, so we became friends. So we sat down and we made these arrangements up. When we went back to the administration, and it went from something that was kind of loose to the CCS Music Group, aka the Spectrum. Where did that name come from? So once again, now it really became real life, the Spectrum. And so it was, the core of the group was myself, H-3 bass in your face, Tyrone Davis, the drummer, a saxophone player named Mike Rafus, he was great, and a keyboardist named Chuck Lucas. He was incredible. And we were the core of the group, and then other musicians would come in and out. And it lasted till 1991. And then everybody started going their separate ways because we were graduating. There's some other stories involved there while we broke up. But the main reason was because we were graduating. The other stories I'll save for another day. We had a Yoko Ono type of person that got involved, a lady, but we won't get into that. So that's it. The CCS, the music group, the Spectrum actually became real life, at least in that form. Now, with this group, this was not a Christian rock group. This was like jazz, fusion, experimental music. And the highlight of it was, I think it was in 1989 in May, when the semester was in, and we did a concert. It was a 3-day concert. And an outdoor concert in the courtyard of the campus, and it was very successful, So made some recordings of that. So I'm gonna, be doing some covers of this type of stuff we did and try to update the arrangements. So after that experience, I graduated and moved on. Started a career, started a family. I kept cartooning, and I even kept doing the strip. And here are some of the later strips, what they look like. They became much more polished, much more professional. And I tried to get the strips syndicated nationally. And the most they got published was locally. Here's another example. And that's about as far as it went. Now, in between, after I graduated, one of the first things I did was a cartoon strip, but it was called Homeboy's Neighborhood. And it was published in a local paper here, the Detroit News. And it was very successful. So actually all of this cartooning I did paid off with that experience. And I was paid, I was professional, and it lasted, kind of ran its course. I did that for about a year. would have loved to have continued with it because that really was a passion of mine. But some circumstances came up and it was time to move on. But it was very successful and I was proud of that achievement. I may post, it was a show that featured the story behind that other strip. I may post it and post a link on here so you can check it out. I won't be doing it right away, but in the near future, so watch for that. So, life moves on. Married, kids, and life moves on. I got out of cartooning. My last hurrah with this was around mid 2000s, and I got with a young man named Brian Burgess, and we were going to update the strip. He liked the strip, and proposed updating it, modernizing it. That's what the characters are going to look like, and it just never got off the ground. I guess it got as far as a sketch. So. Brian, good young man, great artist. I don't know what happened to him though. He just like disappeared. He helped me. Well, anyway, I won't go down that road. Now, to the present, 2015. I got approached by my good friend Paul Miles. He's a blues guitarist, 10-time Detroit Music Award winner, won all types of awards all over the country. He's been Grammy, he's a Grammy judge, yada yada. He approached me about, I did a film that he was featured in. And so once I got him a copy of that, we became friends. And he offered me an opportunity to be in something called Star Riser, which was an online platform for independent artists. So what happened, he said, what type of group do you want to put in? And I said, well, I was doing the Jazz Giants thing, but at the time, we weren't as active. So it was a window of time, so I decided to resurrect, guess what? Spectrum. But this time, it was just a duo. It was me and my daughter. That's my youngest daughter. And she's got a great singing voice, and she sings and plays the guitar. Well, she doesn't anymore. She kind of quit that, but at the time she was really into it. And we resurrected it. We cut a CD. Well, it really wasn't a CD. It was like music for online, for streaming or download. And it got published to CD Baby and also the Star Riser. But unfortunately, the Star Riser went belly up. But the recordings we made was included in this compilation. Spectrum, does it look like we're playing? And this was back to the roots. This was a Christian rock record. And so the concept, I was able to finally do it. Got with a producer who was a good recording engineer, and the tracks were, sound professional. I was happy about that. So, in conclusion, what I learned is never give up on your dreams or your ideals. People may say they're whack. I don't get it. What are you talking about? But if you have some people who believe in you, and it's a positive idea, stay with it. You never, ever know. So now, going forward, I'm going to be putting these tracks out from all these different eras. of the spectrum. And then, of course, we got our group, the Jazz Giants, which will continue. And I'm going to be showcasing them on the channel, so I'm thrilled about that. I'm going to update the arrangements, make them modern. And best of all, I got these better basses, that I can execute these recordings on. And I'm excited about it. I have to make sure I'm pointing the right way. But I'm excited about it. So that's it. That's the history of the spectrum. Thank you for watching. Great to share that, because I want to encourage people to, especially young players, don't give up. Don't give up. Stay with it. Lord only knows. We're all. I know me personally. I know I have improvement to do, but I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I stuck with it, and I was able to turn professional. So if you stay with it, you keep learning. A lot of resources here on YouTube. If you can't get with a good teacher, especially in light of now, with this craziness going on, learn as much as you can, and look at channels that try to teach you something, and respect older players, and you'll be blessed. You'll learn. You'll learn. That was the key for me. I respected my elders, and they were willing to teach me. I was able to learn from them. I'm gonna close with this. I hate to do this, but I got a little bit on my mind. Like I say, respect your elders. That CD I put up of Stanley Clark was one he actually autographed for me. It was at a place called Motor City Guitar. And this was back when that record was had won a Grammy for Best Jazz Album of the Year. That's the bottom one, the Stanley Clark Band CD. I'll never forget, there was a bassist there that was a young man who was somewhat of a prodigy at the time, and he was the best thing going here locally. But I'll never forget when he went up to Mr. Clark to meet him, I felt he did something disrespectful. I'm not going to say what he did. One thing I thought to myself, don't be disrespectful to a legend like that. That man could take you under his wing. You could really learn something. But I just thought to myself, that's a no-no. Don't be disrespectful, because not only are other people watching, God is watching. So you got to be careful. So on that note, thank you for watching. Stay blessed, stay safe. Pray that, some of this craziness going on in the world now, that it comes to a halt. That people turn away from this craziness, this madness, and we have some peace amongst one another, and some healing. So on that note, thanks for watching about the history of the spectrum. Take care, and I'll see you on the next episode. All right? Peace.